Hi, Carl again from from Realty Executives Tucson Elite. Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk about a special subject. The 6 reasons why it is that I'm firmly convinced that you can sell a for sale by owner's home for more money and for the quicker time frame than they can themselves. If you've heard me on the phone with a seller, you've heard me tell them, hey, look, if there's a way that I could sell your home faster than you can and for more money, would you consider listing your home with me? And it always comes up, well, how are you going to do that? And that's a great question, and I'll tell you the reason why. There's really 6 reasons, but before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about it. I've gone to practically every for sale by owner course you can go to. I've had attorneys tell me things. I've listened and sat down while accountants and CPAs have gone through the tax reasons and all these different, formulas and things like that to explain how it is that your commission is going to pay for everything. And I got to be honest with you, I've never understood it. And I've always tried to be very simple about things. So let me go ahead and try and tell it to you as it was explained to me, some of the best ways to sort of understand how you can actually sell a home for more money than a for sale by owner can and for less money. So let me go ahead and just tell you the 6 reasons. Number 1, Number 1 is that serious buyers, people who are serious, only shop for sale by owners for one reason, and that is to save a commission. Now think about it. If you're a serious buyer, and I don't mean a tire kicker, I mean somebody who's serious, who's going to do something now, all right? Think about all the choices that they have. All right, the next chance you get, look at Sunday's paper, go ahead and pull out the classified ads, and then take the section there and highlight all the for sale by owners that you can find. All right, and then keep in mind that all the ones that are listed or whatever, for whatever reason you think that they're listed, ignore those, but go ahead and highlight the ones that are clearly for sale by owners. And then what you'll see is that your page will be incredibly filled with MLS listings, and just a very small portion are actually going to be for sale by owners. So what would cause a buyer who is serious to ignore all of these other properties for sale, ignore all of the signs as they drive down the streets, to go to one place which is not represented by a seller or an agent? And the reason is simple. It's very, very clear. It's because they want to save the commission, which is what the seller is trying to do. But there's only one commission to be saved, okay? Now think about it, all right? With a serious buyer, okay? If they're working with an agent, all right, you can show everything to them in MLS. And you can even show them, in many cases, stuff that's on that are for sale by owners. If you have a one-party fee agreement or something along those lines, it's very easy to go ahead and show those properties as well. The next thing is that you can show the buyer only what matches them. So for example, they're telling you, hey, look, we only want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch-style home on the northwest side of town. Well then, it's very easy for you to go ahead and put in the parameters in the multiple listing service and pull out exactly what they need. If they need a particular type of financing, if they need a particular type of home, or if they need a particular price range, all of that is available in the multiple listing service, and you can show only the things that match, which saves time, okay? Saves time. Then, of course, the next reason is that you can go ahead and prepare the offer. Okay, so if you found this buyer and you found this place to go, you've shown them the property, you've shown them at a time that's going to work for them, and that everybody likes the house, then you can go ahead and prepare the offer. Now, you can also go ahead and help them determine what is a great price for this property. You can show them comparables to make sure that they don't overpay. And then you can go ahead and make sure that their deal closes, okay? Then, additionally, you can go ahead and track it through the escrow process. When you're tracking it through escrow, you're making sure that certain things get done. The appraisal, the termites, the home inspection, all of these things you're coordinating. Now look, if you're a for sale by owner, okay, and you're reading, or should I say seeing this at this time, you may say to yourself, well, that's great, but you know what? I can do this own stuff, or the buyer can go ahead and track their own stuff through escrow. They're responsible for their own inspections and their own appraisals and things like that. That's true. They are. However, with an agent, we have the ability to go ahead and negotiate certain things. So let's pretend that the appraiser comes back and says, well, Mr. and Mrs. Buy Owner, your home is only worth $100,000, and you have a contract on it for $105,000. What do? Well, if you're like most for sale by owners, you're probably going to go ahead and say, well, tough noogies, you've got to go ahead and come up with the other $5,000. The buyer is going to be like, forget that. Why should I overpay for a home? Look, as licensed real estate professionals, we know exactly what we can do to negotiate that situation. If you had termites or some kind of problem with the property, you might say, well, it's sold as is. Hey, guess what? As licensed real estate professionals, we know exactly how to negotiate that situation where you still get the same amount of money, and yet, okay, it doesn't cost you anything, which is awesome, okay? But the biggest thing that I'm trying to say is that if you're trying to save a commission as a buy owner, okay, you need to understand a couple fundamentals. And the fundamentals are that we can do all of these things for free. If I can do it for free, why on earth would they come to a buy owner? Well, the only logical reason is that they can save whatever commission they think they're paying you, okay? If you're not paying a commission as a buy owner, and they know you're not paying a commission buy owner, they're smart enough to realize that everybody else is paying 3% towards their buyer broker. And if that's the case, hey, you just lost 3%. And you ended up paying for a broker anyway, okay? So the next reason why I think you can sell for more than the seller can do it, because we've already shown in this first example, all right, at the very minimum, okay, at the very minimum, they're going to start paying that one way or the other. Either they pay it to you or they pay it to the buyer. One way or the other, they're paying 3% to somebody, okay? So now you might say to yourself, well, that's great, Carl, but you're still saying that in one way or the other, the money is the same. It's a wash, right? Okay, well, that's a good point. Let's bring up reason number 2. The second reason why I claim that you're going to be able to sell this home for more money in less time than a for sale by owner is very, very simple. And that reason is the law of supply and demand. Okay? The law of supply versus demand. Now, everybody knows this law. It's immutable economic theory, and it's just the way it is, okay? That the more you have of anything, okay, the more supply you have, okay, the less demand there will be. Vice versa, the greater the demand and the less supply, okay, the greater value it will be. So, what we say here is, okay, look, if you have a lot of buyers, okay, if you've got a lot of buyers exposed to one home, okay, the value is going to be increased. It's just the way it is, okay? If you are a for sale by owner, and in the last, 4 weeks, you've had 1, maybe 2, okay, serious buyers selling your property, or that are interested in your property, okay, you will get X amount of dollars for your property, okay? However, as listed with a real estate agent, you are going to have a lot more buyers exposed to your property through the multiple listing service, their center of influence, their signs, people through their company, the agents that they work with. You're going to have a lot more exposure, okay, which will equal a higher price through the law of supply and demand. That's just simply the way it works. The more buyers you have exposed to your property through the multiple listing service, through the other agents in that company, through the other center of influence that they may have, then the greater that price will certainly be. Okay? Now, let's pretend, all right, and this is a quick little close for any buyers or sellers that you may have, okay? They're saying, well, look, I want to sell my home myself because I'm going to save the commission. So you know what? That's great. I can appreciate that. That certainly makes a lot of sense on its face. However, did you realize that in Tucson right now, there's about 5,000 agents? Yeah, that's about 5,000, maybe 4,000, something along those lines. And each one of those, okay, is working from anywhere from 1 to 2 buyers each, okay? Which means that at any one time, okay, there are approximately 4, maybe 5 or more thousand buyers on the market right now, okay, in varying stages. And of course, some are very hot, some are very cold, but anywhere in the middle, if you kind of average it out, okay, 1 or 2 buyers per agent in one form or another. And what's more than that is last month there was about 1,500 homes that sold. Okay? Now the thing is, I'm not saying that you can't sell your home yourself. You can. But if it takes 5,000 agents with 4,000 or 5,000 buyers, okay, in varying stages of readiness, if you will, and 1,500 of those actually buy, and the average days on market is 82 days on market, if it takes 5,000 agents 82 days to sell 1,500 homes, I'm not saying you can't sell your home yourself, but what I am saying is, how long will it take? By the way, how many buyers did you have come through your home last week? 2, 3? Okay, great. You've only got another 1,400 to go or so, right? Okay, so the biggest thing is that exposure there itself shows very clearly that you've got the ability to go ahead and sell it for more. The next, difficulty between separating lookers from buyers, okay? Now, they may say, well, look, we've got, 4 or 5 buyers who are on the hook from our property. They're very interested. Well, that's great. Fantastic. How many of those 4 or 5 are actually real bona fide buyers? Okay? Now, let's think about it through our personal experience, okay? If you've been selling real estate for any period of time, you know how hard it is to separate that one guy who's just looking for information, who's wanting to know what things in the area are selling for. Maybe he's got his own home. Maybe he's thinking about selling his place. Maybe they've decided to go ahead and buy a property, but they didn't qualify. There's a lot of things that go into selling or buying a property. And the problem is, as an agent, you know that it takes a quick mind and it takes a couple minutes to be able to sort these people out, to figure out who is going to be someone to deal with and who someone's not going to be somebody to deal with, okay? Studies show, okay, that only about 4%, okay, only about 4% of people who are calling on you or going to your open house are actually realistic buyers. And what I mean by realistic buyers are ready, willing, and able buyers. That's really what I mean, okay? Most of the other folks, okay, they figured that 70% have what we call frozen equity. All right. Let's see. The other amount was 11% can't afford the home that they're looking at. And let's see, the remainder is 15% would prefer to rent. So here you are, a buy owner. You're having an open house. You have 100 people come through, and out of those 7 people, or out of those 100, 7 of them, they got a house to sell. They can't buy. Okay, they've got to have something happen first. Right now, they're kind of contingent. Okay, 11% they can't qualify for one reason or another. Either their credit's not any good, or something's happened. Or 15% will choose to rent. They think to themselves, well, you know what? Home ownership is not really our thing. Let's just go ahead and rent instead. Or they'll extend their renting. Where only about 4% are actually going to be realistic, where they want to buy, where they want to sell, where they're going to do something. Okay, well, that's the problem. It's the difficulty between separating between the lookers versus the buyers and who the people are actually going to do something now. And if you have trouble with it as an agent, just imagine the trouble that a buyer must have when they have no training whatsoever. I'm sorry, a seller, when they have no training whatsoever on how to do this, which questions to ask, how to qualify somebody through a bank. They just let it go to the wind. When you think about it, they just go ahead and say, well, go to the bank and get qualified, go to the title company, make an offer, go to here, get your home inspection, or whatever. Just let them go on their own. When they do that, that's when you pick them up. And when you pick them up, you take them to another place, and you get them financed, and you get them the home inspection, and you get them the title company, and you handle everything. And that is exactly why they lose on that. Okay? I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Okay? I don't mean to say that you can't sell your home yourself. If you're a for sale by owner and you're watching this, please don't misunderstand me. But what I am trying to say is you can sell your home yourself. There's 1 out of 100, maybe 2 out of 100 that are going to sell their homes themselves. But for the vast majority of people, okay, they're going to lose a lot of money if they do. Okay? The next, and this would be number 4, I believe. 4, the longer it takes to sell, the more you lose. In this market in particular, this should be very clear to you, okay? Because quite frankly, in this marketplace, although it has been recently tending to stay the same or maybe even go up 1%, by and large, over the last 12 months, okay, we have seen our values gone down over 13% in the past 12 months. So think about it this way. If you've got a $200,000 house for sale by owner, and if you were going by the averages, 1% per month on average, you're losing, that's $2,000. And the longer you stay on the market, okay, the longer and the more you're going to lose. So let's examine that scenario. Let's say a for sale by owner looks at this and say, well, I'm going to sell my home myself. I'm willing to go ahead and pay a 3% commission to a cooperating agent. If you want to bring a buyer by, help yourself, but I'm not listing my home. Great, fantastic. Okay, so here you are. Let's pretend that you're foolish enough to take this. It's $200,000. Okay, they're willing to pay right off the bat $6,000 towards a broker commission, right? Then, being a smart agent, you're going to go ahead and negotiate the sales price, okay? Let's pretend that you're maybe not so great. You're only getting them, $2,000 off or maybe $3,000. So we'll just say $2,000 off for negotiations, okay? It's taking them now 30 days to close at the minimum. So in depreciation alone, they've lost $2,000. And let's pretend that they were on the market for a month prior to getting it sold. If you went by the averages, the average for 5,000 agents to sell a home in Tucson is 82 days. So we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. We're going to say, look, you are going to have a really hot property in a really nice area at a great price, and you're going to sell it in a month. So depreciation during escrow, depreciation during marketing. Okay? And as you can see, I'm trying to be very, very, very complimentary for a for sale by owner. They got 198, okay, or 2,000 off or whatever. Your commissions for just one side is 3%, so it's about 6% or $6,000. 2,000 here, 2,000 there. Okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, wait a minute. Isn't that the same amount that you had as a for sale by owner? You've lost the same amount. Lost? You never had it. But think about it this way. Just by having it on the market, in the best possible case, you sold it in 1 month and you had it under escrow for 1 month, and the buyer didn't come in asking for a bunch of crazy stuff. They only got off $2,000 off the sales price, either in commissions, escrow, closing cost assistance, or maybe just reduction of the value of the home. You know, best possible case, okay, you've already lost $12,000 in fees and commissions and closing and depreciation, okay? And that's going from the best possible case. But what is more likely? If it's more likely, okay, that $6,000, okay, for a broker fee, and let's pretend, again, the same buyer is going to go ahead and still get that $2,000, and the negotiation during the escrow, okay, is closer from 30 to 45 days, okay? So really, that's about $3,500, okay? If you follow the average, okay, of what realtors do, which you're not as a for sale by owner, if you follow the average, which is 3 months, okay, then you're looking at about another $6,000 depreciation during marketing time. So you can quickly see 6, 12, 14, 17.5, $17,500 realistically. That's a little bit more realistically, or realistic, I should say, than the $12,000 we thought could possibly happen and under best possible circumstances. So as you can see right off the bat, okay, you're already losing more money if the longer you take on your own. You're already losing a lot more if things went perfectly and you never had a problem. You're just having a wash, what you would pay for a realtor, okay? So the longer you're on the market, the more money you lose, simply through depreciation, okay? And by the way, I really hope that this is of value to you. I understand that this is a little bit longer than some of the other ones, but it's important, I think, to go ahead and hit them all in one shot. That way you wouldn't miss. Number 5 is a math question. It's very simple. Okay, number 5. All right. And I have to write this down because I forget how it works. You got MS equals E equals MP equals MM. Okay? So what does all this mean? MS equals E equals MP equals MM. Okay. Basically what it is marketing services equals exposure equals more prospects equals more money. Now think about it, okay? What is that for sale by owner doing to sell their home? Maybe if they're aggressive, they have an ad in Craigslist. Maybe they have a sign in the yard. Maybe they've gone ahead and done a directional in the street. Maybe they've even gone all out and done a flyer. Or perhaps maybe, I think we mentioned Craigslist, maybe put an ad in the paper if they don't mind spending a couple $100, okay? But by and large, that's a pretty aggressive buy owner, all right? Somebody who's serious. But for the most part, most of the time they're sticking to a sign in the yard, an ad in Craigslist, maybe a flyer or a directional, and that's it, okay? So if you can imagine, you are in a sea of homes. Here you are, okay? You can't even see it on there. Let me make it a little bit bigger. You're in a sea of homes in a neighborhood, let's say, a gated community, and they got streets all over the place, right? And you're competing with other homes that are listed with agents, okay? Now, we're going to put a little X here for our for sale by owner. You're counting on the fact that when people come into the subdivision, they willfully close their eyes and do not want to see the agent's sign there. They willfully ignore the open house that they have here. They forget and they say, oh, you know what? Let me just go and stop by and see this for sale by owner. And then they forget about these other three, all right, and they keep moving on. But the unfortunate truth is, because the agents in these scenarios are marketing their properties on the multiple listing service, almost every single possible permutation of websites available. You've got Trulia, Point to Click, Realtor.com, the local MLS, Tierra Antigua, Keller Williams through syndication and IDX, all of the websites throughout Tucson, and the individual agents' websites. Everybody and their mama has your listing on that site, okay? That property has been exposed 5 ways from Sunday, okay? Then that exposes it to a huge amount of people, not only from Tucson, but not only from this neighborhood, but not only from that, but from people all across the United States and the world, okay? Canada, Mexico, you name it. That equals more people that you're bringing into your fold here, more people that have exposure to your property. And those more prospects means more money. The more people that you can get in to your home, that means more money for you. Mr. For Sale by Owner, look, I understand that you want to sell your home yourself, and I understand that you want to save your commission. I completely get that. But what you need to understand is the marketing services that I provide equals the exposure that you need to the prospects that are going to pay the most money for your home. Now, I'm not saying you can't sell your home yourself, but let me ask you a question. How many buyers, bona fide buyers, have you had through the door in the last month? I guarantee you it's going to be less than 10, okay? They will never sell their home for highest dollar if they only have 10 buyers. It ain't going to happen, all right? So keep that in mind. Marketing services, exposure equals more prospects equals more money, okay? And then last but not least, thank you for being very patient with me. I do appreciate you staying online for all this, okay? The last reason why you're going to make them more money than they would make it for themselves, okay? Do not forget the power of third-party negotiations. Look, let's just be honest. If you've been in real estate longer than a day, you'd recognize that there is not one single property that's normal, okay? Each seller has their own quirks, whether it be a corporate seller, REO, bank, short sale person, whatever it is, or a buyer, who, first-time home buyer, a renter, a landlord, whatever it is, okay, an investor. Each person has their own unique twist that they add to this. And then when you couple that together with another person, wow, you got a lot of different dramas involved. And it's going to be hard. But think about it. If you do this on a regular basis, and I hope that you do, okay, you recognize the power of a third-party negotiator, somebody who's outside of this situation, who's able to bring the parties together in a way that will be mutually beneficial. Somebody who's got their eye on the big picture, okay? So for example, Mr. and Mrs. For Sale by Owner, they have their home for sale, okay? And they're asking $100,000. Mr. Buyer comes along, little hat there, says, wow, that's great, I love it. I'll pay you $100,000, that's no problem, right? Now, first, in this market, you and I both know that's never going to happen. But let's pretend their house is spectacular. And the buyer comes along and says, great, yeah, I'll pay $100,000. The seller on this house is like, whoopee, yeah, I'm getting my money. They're very happy, okay? Things are wonderful. But then this guy has to go out and get, let's say, an inspection. And he finds termites. Oh no, he's found termites. So the question is, I need to get these things taken care of so I can get my loan. But I can't get them taken care of because it's not my home. I'm not going to go drilling into this guy's house and spending $500 or $600 for a termite treatment when it's not my home. That's the problem. Well, now think about this. For you and I, this is simple. We know how this works. But for the homeowner, they don't know this. I guarantee you, they do not know this. All right? If you talk to that homeowner as a buyer, and you say, hey, look, I've got termites that I need to have treated. Would you treat that for me? He immediately is saying, wait a minute, I am no longer getting $100,000. I'm getting $99,600, right? Why should I pay for that? That's too bad. It's as is. That's the way it works every time. Almost invariably. You could almost set a clock by it. He says as is. He has termites. The deal's done. It's dead. As a realtor, you know how to fix this. But let's pretend that they say, okay, great. Yeah, you can fix termites. No big deal. They've solved the problem. You and I know how to solve it. They've solved the problem. Okay, great. So now they do their appraisal. When they're doing their appraisal, okay, would you agree with me that you have a greater chance of having your appraisal fall through than you've ever had at any other time? And the appraiser says, well, guess what? It's not worth $100,000. It's only worth $96,000 or $95,000, let's say. So the buyer says, well, wait a minute. Why should I overpay for this house? Mr. Seller, will you take $95,000? His likely answer is, no, you need to come up with the other $5,000 because I can sell to somebody else. Now, you and I both know if it's FHA appraisal, that's not going to happen. You and I both know that you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So in that case, that deal is now dead, okay? But let's assume you got a savvy homeowner, all right? Or that the appraisal is fine and it's gone through, okay? They've done their home inspection and they find something wrong. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, will you go ahead and repair? No, it's as is. Or maybe if it's something small, maybe they would, okay? Then they get down to financing, okay? Then after financing, they get down to going ahead and close of escrow. Is the paperwork there on time, okay? But as you can see, just from a quick overview, you can see 5 different stages where this deal could fall apart. And I'm sure if you examine your deals, that you could find how these deals could fall apart probably in more stages than that. I mean, when you think about the negotiations, the closing date, asking for home warranties or asking for closing dates or asking for closing cost assistance or things of that nature, you know, there's a million different places that this deal could all go to hell in a handbasket. But because you're a real estate professional, you know how to get around these things. And you know how to solve these problems. And you know how to make it to where if the termites need to be treated, how the seller can get that treated, get reimbursed. Or if the appraisal's bad, maybe you can go ahead and, you know, figure out a way to get that seller a little bit more, get the buyer a little bit less, make everybody happy. You know, if there's financing problems, you can deal with the bank, try and work that out. The seller's not going to work with the financing company. They're not people who are going to go and ask the finance company, where's the paperwork? You're going to do that, okay? So the power of third-party negotiation is also a lot better. It will also get you $1 more than the average homeowner will on their own. If you sell that property for $1, just one, then you've sold it for more money than they could themselves. It's my belief to the core that there is no homeowner. There's maybe 1% of those people that are out there selling. Only 1%. But 99% of the people out there as for sale by owners do a lot worse, okay? Kill a lot more deals, make their lives a lot harder than they need to be, by trying to do it themselves. They try to save 3%, and at the very end of the day, through those 6 reasons, you can see that it's simply not going to happen. So hopefully that's been of some value to you. I know this has been a longer video. I do apologize for that, but in my mind it was very important to get all 6 of these reasons here to you. If you did like it, then feel free to go ahead and like and subscribe down there at the bottom. Do your comments, concerns, questions. We'll be happy to go ahead and help you in any way we can. Thanks a lot. And again, from us to you, happy selling.